They came to us when our sky was still scarred by the ash of our own wars, ships shaped like polished bone slipping through the clouds with the quiet confidence of a species that had never known hunger. The Kepri concordance spoke in harmonics and light, and their first message was an apology for arriving unannounced. They brought medicine that sang our broken cells back into order, reactors that drank starlight and left no waste, and tutors who taught our children to count in base 12 and dream in higher dimensions. We had nothing they wanted, only stories and a battered planet, so when they asked nothing in return, we carved their sigil into the stones of our rebuilt cities. Mankind never forgets a favor. It is written into our bones alongside the old reflexes of fear and hope. We keep ledgers even when we pretend not to, lists etched behind the eyes. The concordance stayed for 3 cycles, helped us stitch our biosphere, then departed with blessings and a warning spoken gently. There are empires that measure worth only in extraction, they said, and they will come for you when you shine again. We thanked them, promised to be careful, and watched their ships fold space like silk. We did shine again. Our engines hummed, our habitats bloomed, and our broadcasts spilled into the dark with art and laughter, and a naive trust that kindness would echo outward unchanged. When the Viox Clade arrived, they did not bother with greetings. They harvested moons, cracked oceans, and demanded tribute measured in children trained as navigators. We fought and we lost because we were young and believed the universe played fair. Our cities burned, our sky fell silent, and the ledger inside us turned another page. We remembered the concordance, not as saviors, but as proof that gentleness existed. We swore that if we ever held power, we would wield it like a shield for those who had shielded us, and like a hammer for those who had broken us. In the dark years, we learned patience. We learned to hide industry inside comets, to whisper across quantum threads, to turn scarcity into a forge. We learned that revenge is not a scream, but a song practiced until it can shatter glass without cracking the singer. And always we kept the ledger, adding interest, compounding resolve. Time passed in layers. We rebuilt in secret, cities nested within asteroids, farms woven through the rings of gas giants. Our scientists studied the gifts left behind by the concordance, not to copy, but to understand the philosophy beneath them. Nothing wasted, nothing taken without consent, power paired with responsibility. We sent no more loud songs into space. Instead, we listened, mapping trade routes, feuds, and the slow tides of politics among the stars. The Viox Clade grew fat on conquest, their fleets multiplying like a plague, their arrogance calcifying into doctrine. They forgot us, which was the first mercy we granted them. Mankind never forgets a favor, and we never forget a wound. We built weapons that did not look like weapons, algorithms that could untie logistics, nanoforges that could starve an armada by turning fuel into dust. We practiced restraint because restraint sharpens intent. When famine struck the Kepri concordance, we were ready. Their sun had entered a violent phase, flares lashing their worlds, crops failing under radiation storms. They asked for help reluctantly, pride bending under necessity. We answered with fleets of mirrors and magnetic shepherds, stabilizing their star, reseeding their fields. We refused payment, carved their sigil deeper into our stones, and left behind nothing but gratitude. The ledger glowed, balanced and bright. News of our intervention traveled, and with it, a rumor that humans were dangerous in a way that could not be measured by tonnage. The Viox laughed. They always laughed before they learned. The first blow was invisible. A Viox fleet entered a human system and found their sensors lying to them, stars misreporting mass, planets shifting orbits by microns that compounded into chaos. Ships collided, drives misfired, and panic spread through command channels that had never known uncertainty. We spoke then, softly. We listed dates, names, the moons they had cracked, the children they had taken. We offered terms, withdrawal, reparations, a reckoning overseen by a council of the harmed. They answered with fire. So we sang. Gravitational chords plucked at planetary cores, resonances tuned with care. We did not shatter worlds at first, because even revenge deserves a lesson. We unmade shipyards, folded armadas into singular knots, and froze supply lines in time dilation pockets. The Concordants watched, horrified and relieved, understanding at last the warning they had tried to give us long ago. Mankind never forgets a favor, they realized, and mankind never forgets an injustice. When the Viox burned a Concordance refuge world in spite, we changed keys. Planets cracked like porcelain under a steady hand, oceans lifted into the void and crystallized into rings. We felt it too, a weight in the chest, because vengeance costs the wielder as well as the target. The war became a geometry problem. We removed options, collapsing hyperspace corridors, teaching stars to lie. Viox worlds fell one by one, not in rage, but in accounting, each destruction matched to a ledger entry. They begged, promised reform, offered tribute. We paused. The Concordants stood beside us, their harmonics trembling, reminding us that mercy is a power too. We listened, because favors are not chains but guides. We spared those who laid down arms, evacuated civilians when we could, and left markers where planets had been, warnings etched into spacetime. Here arrogance ended, here debt was paid. When it was done, the stars felt quieter. We dismantled our weapons, not destroyed but archived, because forgetting is a luxury the universe does not grant. The Concordants rebuilt, stronger and humbler, and together we founded a compact written not in law but in memory. Mankind never forgets a favor, and now the galaxy knew it too. Kindness would be answered with shelter, with science, with hands held out across the dark. Cruelty would be answered with patience, with precision, and if needed with the shattering of worlds. We returned to our cities, to art and argument, and the endless work of becoming better than our worst days. Above us, the stones still bore the old sigils, deeper now, catching the light of a safer sun. The ledger closed, not erased but complete, waiting for the next entry. Peace is not silence. It is the low hum after thunder, the ache in the bones reminding you that something vast has passed through. In the years after the war, we learned that victory leaves debris just as surely as defeat. Shattered planets became asteroid memorials, twisted orbits turned into cautionary textbooks, and entire star charts were rewritten with margins full of quiet annotations. Mankind never forgets a favor, but neither do we forget the cost of enforcing that truth. Children born after the shattering grew up under calm skies and asked why some constellations looked unfinished. We told them stories without bloodthirst, without pride, but without lies. We explained that power is a loan taken from the future, and interest is always due. The Concordants worked closely with us then. Where once they had guided gently, now they debated openly, no longer afraid of our intensity, no longer idealizing our restraint. Together, we built libraries that stored not just data, but experience, recorded emotional harmonics alongside battle telemetry. Anyone who accessed the designs for our greatest weapons was required to feel what it meant to use them, the grief, the resolve, the permanent narrowing of innocence. Trade resumed across the galaxy, cautiously at first. New species approached us with offerings and flattery, testing the shape of our reputation. We accepted neither tribute nor praise, only transparency. Show us how you treat the weak, we said, and we will know how to treat you. There were those who tried to provoke us, petty warlords and ambitious councils who believed the stories were exaggerated. We answered them with restraint so precise, it unsettled them more than destruction ever could. A frozen account here, a redirected migration there, pressure applied until aggression collapsed under its own inefficiency. They learned that revenge was only one instrument in our orchestra, not the melody we preferred to play. Still, at night, some of us dreamed of cracking worlds. Not with joy, but with memory. Therapists and philosophers worked alongside engineers, because a species that can shatter planets must also learn how to carry that knowledge without breaking itself. We argued endlessly, because argument is how humans metabolize fear. Mankind never forgets a favor, and we remembered the small ones too. The minor traders who smuggled medicine during the dark years, the refugees who shared air when it was scarce, the anonymous signals that warned us of Viex patrols. We uplifted their worlds quietly, leaving infrastructure disguised as natural abundance, so gratitude would not curdle into dependency. As decades turned into centuries, the legend sharpened. Some called us monsters pretending at morality, others saints with a hidden knife. We did not correct them, because reputation is a mirror and everyone sees themselves in it. One day a delegation arrived from beyond the mapped spiral, a species young and burning bright, terrified by predators they barely understood. They asked us the question we had once asked the Concordans. Why help us when there is no profit? We showed them the ledger. Not the weapons, not the scars, but the simple entries of kindness and consequence. We explained that the universe does not run on balance, but survival does. You protect what protects you. You answer cruelty so thoroughly that it becomes an unattractive strategy. They left wiser and a little afraid, which was acceptable. Fear tempered with understanding is safer than awe unexamined. In the quiet that followed, humanity turned inward again. We explored art that bent spacetime gently, music played on the magnetospheres of stars, literature written to be read by minds that thought in clouds and currents. We remembered that being feared was never the goal, only being remembered accurately. On Earth, the old stones still stood, sigils worn smooth by time and touch. Children traced them with their fingers, asking who they belonged to. We told them they belonged to everyone who ever chose to help when it was easier not to. Mankind never forgets a favor. That truth had shattered planets, yes, but it had also saved suns, rebuilt worlds, and stitched unlikely friendships across light years of darkness. It was not a threat, not really, but a promise. Kindness would echo, cruelty would return amplified, and memory would always keep the score. And so the galaxy turned, a little more careful now, a little more aware that somewhere among the stars lived a species with a long memory, steady hands, and a ledger that never burned, only waited.